Why, hello, YouTube. How's everyone doing? Hopefully, all is well. It is your host, Rebound, and I am back at it again with another video. So, tonight, I guess we'll go ahead and do a midnight chat. I just kind of wanted to discuss some of the things that were on my mind. Now that I've been doing the live streams, it's so awkward to have my monologues. But anyway, yes. So hopefully everyone is having a great Tuesday night. And I kind of wanted to get on here. Over in Discord, we had some pretty unique conversations where we're just talking about the rise in narcissism and gang stalking, as well as a plethora of other things, such as all the things going on with this pandemic and the inoculation and these frequencies that people are being bombarded with. And it's it is crazy with all this stuff going on. It can make a lot of us feel like we're prisoners, right? It can make us feel like everything that we're doing is being monitored, especially those of us who have dealt with things such as gang stalking, right? And it's like we're trying to understand them and they're trying to understand us, and they can't understand why, no matter how hard they try to destroy our light, or to make us angry, or to break us, they can. And we're trying to understand them as far as, this hive mind mentality, how they pop up everywhere we're at, and, how they're assigned to us, how they listen to our various conversations. So they, see our coming out and going in and, make these various assumptions, right? So over on Discord, we kind of talked about one of my neighbors assuming that I was an alcoholic and planning a box of wine in front of my car, which I didn't put the pieces together until maybe a year later. Our Discord conversation. I thought it was interesting because the mindset of, I guess we can say, these NPCs or the narcissist is quite interesting, right? And on the channel, I always speak of how the two are different, right? It's like we have this same, we're the same on the outside, but on the inside we're very different. And it's just, I guess the two are just very puzzled by each other. And, but it was something that we really did analyze and kind of laugh about, over on Discord. So, for those of you who are interested in Discord, just go ahead and send me an email and I'll send you an invite. I'm there a lot, or I wouldn't say it's often, but when I am on there, it's like, 2 to 5 hours. having conversations. And what's interesting about running a channel such as this one is you get people from everywhere, right? So I have some subscribers who are Christian and who have a biblical foundation. Then I have other subscribers who are who have heavily been traumatized. And I have some who are only interested in conspiracy, while others are only interested in the concept of, let's say, like demons or like gang stalking. And it's very interesting to kind of have you all in one place, right, listening to the same type of material. And it kind of throws me off when I kind of study and analyze how the crowd interacts with each other, being from one extreme to the next. And it's just it's very interesting, right? Because I thought there would be more, I guess, more unison. But I guess since everyone's coming to the channel from a different angle, I guess that's why there is some differences there, or maybe that's just what it is to run a channel. But going back to this topic of everything seems to be going on wrong with the world, right? And a lot of us, who are empathic, you're humanitarian at heart, it's a lot of trauma, right? To deal with. It's a lot. Like you think about what's happening, what could possibly be happening, and then you think about the history of humanity where there's always been this constant struggle, right? It seems like humanity has been on this constant loop, right? Where a civilization is built and then it's destroyed, right? War is created, maybe a financial system is reset, one nation rises and the next one falls, right? And you see how what looks like these rituals, these global rituals that take place via war, via injection, and all the propaganda, right, that has really evolved over the decades as far as, how it gets out to the public, where in the past you would have things like radio or newspaper, and now we have social media and the internet. And over again, it just feels like society is heavily enchanted by these things. It's almost as if, this beast system is able to, cast a spell over its inhabitants. And what sucks is a lot of us who have unplugged, right, by our own doing, whether it was like divine intervention, or whether it was just, curiosity going down these different rabbit holes and, trying to figure out our true reality. It's very hard when you engage with people who are still plugged in. It's almost equivalent to, someone having these cords or this virtual reality headset on, and they have these blinders on, and you can't take these blinders off, because if not, you'll unplug them and they will die. And the only way that they can really unplug is by their own doing, right? Symbolically speaking. And, there's a lot of conversations that you can't have with people now because people are so offended, and you're afraid that you'll offend someone, especially since, everything just seems to be so extreme these days, right? I mean, the spiritual warfare has picked up, the level of self-centeredness has really increased. Seems like people only really care about themselves, or care about, celebrating things that, in my opinion, are meaningless, right? Like, so for example, like the Super Bowl. But it is what it is. And I guess, in this life, as history's shown, like, we're prone to deal with trauma, right? Because this world is really in a fallen state. This world rejects God. And, because of that, we see all the chaos that goes on. And, I was watching a video earlier today, and it talked about, one of the content creator was discussing what it's like growing up without a father, right? And I think for a lot of us who've grown up without fathers or father figures or significant father figures, healthy father figures, it's very traumatizing, right? What not having the absence of a father has on its son. But we fail to acknowledge, like, the entire context of the situation. So why was the father absent, right? What traumas are things, that the father endured growing up affected his, that could have affected his parenting skills. And, we can relay that back to, maybe some of us who didn't have mothers who were absent, or who maybe had mothers who were abusive, right? And if we live in such a highly traumatized society, of course, people within that society are going to have dysfunctional behaviors, are going to, be traumatizing to their offsprings or to their communities. And, a lot of us on this channel are, NPD, are narcissistic abuse survivors, I guess you can say. And trauma is something that we know all too well. And, it's like when it comes to really examining just growing up in a dysfunctional family, whether or not, your parents or caregivers were narcissistic, I think what's difficult about it is the fact that a lot of decisions that we make, especially for those of us who decide to flee the situation, it seems like we keep getting in a similar situation, right? And I do believe that this is all a part of spiritual warfare. And I believe that what your experience is, what you're experiencing is familiar spirits, right? So, like, let's just say we had a caregiver who had a particular spirit, and now that his spirit embodies someone who we choose to date, right? Someone who we choose to have a relationship with, may or may not have kids with, who we sleep with. And it just seems like we get caught in this cycle. And I think a lot of us who hold on to the pain and trauma and who are so angry with our caregivers for, the things that they've inflicted on us is because the decisions that we've made in our adult life, once again, has come from the trauma that we experienced. And, this is why on the channel, I talk a lot about forgiveness, right? So when you get to this place of, going through the anger, right, which will lead you to the sadness, and then that will lead you to a place where you kind of have to gather, okay, what's going on inside? Where does this sadness come from? Where is the root of this sadness, right? Going back, re-experiencing, maybe that first trauma as a child and feeling neglected, feeling abandoned. And, it all stemming from that child's desire to be a part of a community, to be accepted, to be validated, to be loved ultimately, right? And for those of us who have light in us, for those of us who are children of God, this is something that our spirit is familiar with. And we lack love when we get to this world. And a lot of us are just ostracized. A lot of us are misfits or outcasts to society. It seems like everywhere we go, there is some type of drama. Or let's just say, if you go out and you ask somebody to do something for you, it just does not happen, right? And I believe it really does stem from who we are, right? So once again, on my previous video, I talked about, those of us who are God's chosen, and the experience that we have in this world is just, it's terrible. Like, it is terrible. I always say, like, if I had to come back and live this life again, although I'm thankful for it, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can do it. All right. But I guess with all that said, these experiences have made us who we are. These experiences have, really forced us to question, our reality, the worlds that we live in. And, by accepting those truths, by being able to accept the person for who they were, right? And accept their personality, their character. It's kind of one of those things, especially when we're sabotaged by these types of folks. We understand that that's just who they are, and therefore we're not as affected by it, which, when it comes to dealing with these toxic types, they really want to get you to be reactive, right? And so they're going to continue to do stuff in your life to cause you to react, because this is where they get their energy source from. And so when you come to this place of acceptance, and you understand why they do what they do, and they can't change, it brings you to a level of understanding. And once again, when you forgive them, then that releases the trauma from in your body. And this is why healing is key, right? And I believe because we're living in pretty tumultuous times, that, as individuals, we owe it to ourselves to do the work so that we're not as traumatized, because trauma is coming to us each and every day, from the trauma that you experience in work, or the stress, right, that you experience in work, maybe to your daily commute, to, everything that's going on with this pandemic and all the other variations of what could be going alongside of the pandemic. Just this life is highly traumatizing. And, it's it's because we live in a Luciferian world. And, I guess, just have days like today where it's just you think about it, and even though with everything that's going on in my life right now, I'm thankful and grateful. Just be nice when we can really see all of this really come to a close, right? Because to me, it's pretty amazing or perplexing, right? How fast this world has changed, right? So we see a rise in things such as, in the reprobate mind or narcissism. And, although this has been something that the world has dealt with, for centuries, millennia, I really do feel like the rates at which it is rising now is, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's unbelievable, how it just seems like so many people in the world, they're not compassionate, they're not empathic, especially in particular fields like in healthcare, which, is something that I always bring up on the channel. But you just really see this spirit manifesting everywhere. And I feel like for those of us who choose to stand for good, now's the time where we really have to give the world our talents and, our that light within us, right? Because the world needs it, and especially for those of us who have light in us and who are wounded, right? The world needs us, so deeply right now. And, once again, our gifts are very diverse, and it's good to use what God has given you to, help show humanity that he truly does exist. And, although there's a lot of suffering in this reality, there's still good here, right? And, even though we have to struggle and it's a fight each and every day, just to be who we are, I believe that it's important, because you never know who's watching, you never know who's listening. And, there's days where, all of us want to give up, right? And I feel that we have to, continue to press forward, continue to be strong, and once again, continue to help heal the world, to help heal humanity, to have conversations with people that many people won't have, right? To have conversations with ourselves and, and with our creator, to really empower ourselves so that we can make that difference. So, I don't know. I felt like this video is kind of like all over the place, right? But I just kind of wanted to reiterate that and put that out there, because I understand that, now the spiritual warfare is really off the table. And it just seems for a lot of us who are awake, it's just we're constantly on guard, right? We're constantly looking. But, in this time, I know for me, I'm still, provided with a level of peace, right? It was funny going back to the Discord conversation. It was funny how we could just sit back and laugh about all this stuff. We could sit back and laugh about the gang stalkers manifesting, right? And, how they're really nothing when you know all their tricks. Laugh about, just the spiritual warfare, or the trauma that we've experienced, from childhood, right? Because this world, it just seems like it tries to do so much to break those of us who are God's chosen, and it just can't. And it gets it gets so irritated with us, because not only does it it's not able to break us, it's we can still have joy, right? And I think also in times such as this one, right, it's easy to get into a stupor, or it's easy to be depressed. It's easy to, depend on, substances to kind of numb yourself, or, overwork yourself so that you don't have to, think about just all the chaos that's going on with the world. But I do feel what is really important is to, cherish those that you have in your life that truly care about you for who you are on the inside, right? Not what they can get from you. And, to continue to do good for other people, right? So, if it's, maybe, listening to someone who's having a hard time, I would suggest doing that, or, teaching, right? I would say doing that, or, gifts, right? Purchasing something for someone that makes you feel good. And even, caring for yourself, right? And, learning how to appreciate who you are and everything about who you are, whether it is your outside appearance to your inner appearance, to, just the different things that you enjoy doing, whether it could be art or music or reading books, poetry. It really, in this time, it really is important to show us ourselves self-love and care, right? And to, continue to build that foundation with our creator, right? So that if times do get tough, at least we know who we truly are, and therefore society is not able to break us. But I guess that's going to be all for the video tonight. I wanted to give you all something. I know I've kind of been MIA. I'm adjusting to a new job. And, I've listened to another Aquarius who's actually born on my birthday. And seems like she's been having a tough season, battling with like depression and just like, and whatnot. And I could say that I'm somewhat similar, right? So I guess I, kind of been just kind of like low key sad in the background, just with everything that humanity is experiencing. And, being a humanitarian, it's like my heart just really cries out for the globe, for the animals, for the insects, for, all these things that the psychopaths that running the world are doing, right? It's just, my heart bleeds, because it's like these psychotic psychopaths, it seems like they are willing to destroy the planet to dominate and control, right? And they're so delusional in their thoughts to ever think that they could do just that, right? So yeah, that's kind of why I've taken a break, and or I've kind of drifted over to Discord, because I feel like I can speak a little bit more freely there. But yeah, for all of you who are listening to this video, I am so thankful to have you here. I'm so thankful that you are a part of this community, and I believe that together we can empower each other and once again make the world a better place. So that's all for now. I'll talk to you all next time. Take care and have a great night. Bye.